And good afternoon, guys. It's coming up to 2 p.m. here in the UK, and today is the 4th of February 2022. So we'll start here with the Bitcoin chart on the weekly. This is the Coinbase chart, just to give a perspective of really where we are in terms of market structure. And you can see here that basically we've got this little weekly order block that essentially represents demand, and we bounced off of that demand as it stands. Pretty much on all of the exchanges, this was kind of hit, as you can expect, at around about $33,000, and we failed to take these lows here, and it looks like we had a little bounce. The reason I'm showing you the weekly chart is just because I want to keep things in perspective. As you can see, plenty of selling, a little bit of consolidation, plenty of selling yet again, a little tiny bit of consolidation there, and plenty of selling, and here we are, a little bit of what looks just like consolidation and could lead on to more selling. So essentially what I'm looking for, and I think that this is still what's in the cards for us, is seeing this line here around about $29,000 to get hit, to take out these lows here. Okay, we really don't know if it's going to go much further or if it's just going to grab that liquidity, but as you can see here from the volume profile, you can see that it adds confluence with a low volume area here, the edge of the high volume cluster, if you like, and it will just remain to be seen if we can get a little bounce there and move back up, or if indeed we're going to go much lower and try and test these low volumes down here. As you can see here from previous price action, you can see that, you know, below that this is a very low volume area here. Price traveled very quickly back in November, at the end of 2020, traveled very quickly through this area, so there's hardly any areas for support, if you like, any residual liquidity or any volume traded within these prices between $20,000 and $30,000. So there's a big gap there here, seen here in the volume, and you can see how this could cause a problem. It will either create a lot of friction and become very strong support, or if the price travels through that, it will travel through that very, very quickly, and we'll try and see if we can find balance inside of this balance area here, this volume, high volume cluster, or if indeed we get rejected there. But you know, just to keep things in perspective, that balance area starts around about the $20,000 mark, if you like. You know, there's increased volume here, but then really the significant volume is around about $13,000, $12,000. Am I saying that the price is going to definitely go there? Not really. All I'm saying is just that you've got to keep an eye on these things, just to have a look at the on the macro of the potential outcome of a very quick flush to the downside. Okay, so anyway, that's the weekly chart out of the way. If we look at the daily chart, and I'm trying to stick with the Coinbase for now anyway, just so that you guys get a feel of where we are in the market. We're still very much printing lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so again, unless we bring if the price breaches this level around about 44,600, let's say 45,000 for the sake of it, unless it breaches this level and does something significant such as this, and then kind of confirm this as support, then I think, unless it does this, I think it's going to go much lower. Okay, so if it does this, this is the invalidation. So essentially, if it does this, it's likely that the price has broken the structure. This was the bottom, and we can enter or start thinking about entering longs when it starts rallying again on that pullback, on that initial pullback. Okay, so break of market structure. This is the market structure high here. If we break that market structure and then come down, it's very important that we don't come all the way back here again and prove equal lows. So it would essentially, what we would like to see is this kind of like being confirmed, this level here, as you can see here, around about $41,000 as support. And if we could confirm that low volume node here as support, then when the price starts curling back up, that's the confirmation I'd need, and I'd be looking to enter this long. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. Again, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. This is what I would do. Okay, at the moment, if you look this objectively, this is a range. Okay, so let me just put this in a different color. Just going to put this as blue, if you like. As you can see here, the high of the range, the low of the range. We rotated here between the highs and the lows way back in July And now we've just entered this range here, and yes, we did bounce on that order block, the weekly order block, but we haven't even tested the top there. So actually what I think the most likely case scenario to play out is that in fact we will probably come all the way up to about $41,000, $42,000 or something like that, and then just roll over and come and test these lows down here. Okay, so there's a little bit more to it on the smaller time frames, so I'll have a look at the Bybit chart for that, just because I've already prepared a couple of tools here to show you. So again, we're still on the daily chart. It's not much difference. As you can see, this is a low volume area in comparison when you look at all of this price action. But if you incorporate all of this price action, you can see here from the volume profile that this is a high volume cluster. Okay, I've also highlighted this before by putting in volume zones like this, and it's basically just highlighting each of these rectangles represent the high volume clusters represented here on the volume profile. Okay, so that's essentially what I'm talking about. So we, you know, the likelihood of us breaching straight through this is it's very little really, but of course this is Bitcoin, and anything can happen. I'm going to draw attention to a few levels that I want you guys to pay attention to, but I just want to paint the picture from the start. Okay, so where we are right now, of course, we've reached not quite the bottom, but we've gotten almost to the bottom of this volume profile here, of this cluster. We now are kind of rotating inside of this session volume profile here, but there are a few things at play that are keeping us down, namely this consolidation here, which is the high of the range already. As you can see, this was previous resistance that turned into support when we got confirmed here. We broke below it, and now this is acting as resistance. So even though we broke slightly above it, and we've got a couple of things that I'm going to highlight on the 4-hour chart in a minute, pushing us down, there is still a possibility that the price could actually come and test these levels up here. Okay, you will see that this is a low volume node at this area here, which is essentially the edge of this high volume cluster, and that's why that rectangle is there. But so you know, $41,000, $42,000 is the level that I'm trying to show you. So again, I know that this is a crowded trade. There's lots of people talking about this level already, but judging by today's Twitter, I think everybody's bullish again, and everybody thinks this is going back to 100k. So it's good that everybody's bullish, because I do think that this is going to flush down, and usually the contrarian trade tends to pay off. So I just wanted to highlight here where is it? There we go, 12-month VWAP. Okay, so if you pay attention to this, this is a VWAP that I've put anchored back to the 1st of January 2021. And I've got a standard deviation of this VWAP, which is these yellow lines, these brown lines that you can see here to the side. Note how the first standard deviation has perfect confluence with that $42,000 level, okay, which is, again, let's put the volume zones in, right in the middle of this imbalance, okay, so very close to the edge of this high volume cluster here. All right, so that's one thing. Now we look at the 4-hour chart. I'll put that VWAP in again, so you can see now. I can make this a little bit brighter if you like. I can make them a little bit brighter, like so, and perhaps even make them less opaque, a little bit more opaque, like that. You can see that's the yellow line there. Okay, it has perfect confluence, or very close confluence anyway, with this area here of imbalance, which is very close also to the high volume node. So now let's take this off, and I just want to draw your attention to that same level, but with these little volume profiles. Okay, so this is basically two sessions here, two balances if you like, and I've put the bigger balance here as a volume profile as well. Okay, so you can see that basically from the 6th of January, where we were rotating sideways after this little mini dump here, there was a move to the downside, an impulse, and then we kind of rotated and consolidated sideways, and then we had another impulse to the downside that leads to where we are now. And essentially, if you put the volume profile from there, it puts that point of control around about $41,900. Again, $42,000 level. Okay. If I put an anchored VWAP from the swing high of the previous range, it also has confluence with that level. If I get back that 12-month VWAP and I put the standard deviations, look at where it's all converging to around about this level here, right? So between $41,300 and $42,000. Okay, so this is also visible in the market profile. I'll show you that in just a second, but I just wanted to highlight this, how important this level really is. Okay, additionally, there is a little bit of resistance above us because obviously this is a low volume area and the price travels so quickly through there. Highly, very highly inefficient move to the downside. Usually these tend to get corrected. It doesn't mean that will cause a reversal if we are above it, but sometimes it does. Okay, so there is a possibility as well that this was actually the local top now, because we reached the edge of this high volume cluster here and we just start rolling sideways because this was a crowded trade. Okay, so this is the volume that we're looking for, but because it's so visible on so many different time frames and on so many different charts, it is a crowded trade. And we know that whales don't like crowded trades and they like to trade against it, especially if everybody's looking at that same level and everybody's got the same idea. So it is quite possible that we've missed the opportunity to tap that, but I want you to keep that in mind. And the reason I'm highlighting this level is for those of you who don't understand why that $42,000 level is being spoken about so much and why it's of such interest to everyone. Okay, so I've drawn your attention to it now. Now I'm giving you the counter argument, which is why perhaps we might not get there. Like I said before, this here is a low volume area that will perhaps act as resistance. Okay, it can act as resistance. In fact, it has acted as resistance so far. If we are to break it to the upside, it will be a very violent and explosive move. It will be a big impulse, a little bit like this one, where the price will travel very quickly through there, and then we'll have to wait and see if indeed when it taps this, it will either confirm this as support or if it will just retrace it completely. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I do know that these largely inefficient moves tend to get sort of reversed, and this is what most people like to refer to as the BART pattern, or the inverse BART pattern, and that's essentially, it tends to happen a lot. Okay, although here you can see that we had a larger liquid move to the downside and we never even retraced that, so there's lack of strength in the market. So I wouldn't be listening to what everybody else on Twitter is saying, that that's it, it's bullish and everything's going to go back up now. Just trade level to level. Okay, so essentially what am I looking for in terms of levels? Okay, so if the price gets up to here and reverses, then obviously it's bearish, and I'm going to look at these levels here. I'm going to be targeting these lows here, and I'm going to be targeting these equal lows here as well, right? So that's about 35,500 and around about $33,000. If, however, the price does come and tap here at 42k, we will have to be a little bit more cautious and see what the price is going to do. Okay, if the price starts rolling over and it travels very quickly back below $41,000 or $40,000 level, then I think we will retrace it, and we do come and test those levels here, those equal lows, and the pull lows down below. But if price gets here, starts hovering, and on the pullback it kind of bounces, then that's an indicative that this is now acting as support, and perhaps this is a good area to enter along, as we are quite likely to correct this inefficiency and try and enter this range here. So essentially, in terms of ranges, you can argue that this here is one range, and then this here is yet another range. In fact, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do this as little rectangles because they're just a little bit easier to understand. So one range, another range there, and essentially the range that we're in right now. Okay, so basically we trade level to level, we trade range to range, and you could just expect the price to rotate sideways inside of these ranges, these high volume clusters. Okay, that's essentially what the price does. Of course, there are slight variations of it, and we get deviations to the downside, like you've seen here. We get deviations to the upside, and the reversals, etc. But more or less, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll stay on the right side of the trade if you look at these and separate these as ranges and trade level to level, rather than getting obsessed with where we're going and where we're likely to go, etc. So again, just to sort of just to recap, I do expect the price to rotate inside of this range here, of the lower range. That's exactly where we are. If, however, we do break to the upside, then I'll be looking at this range here, if it's confirmed as support, as the next level of resistance up here, around about $44,000, 43,000, something like that, and $41,000 as support. In terms of market structure, like I already pointed out, this is the previous high, okay? So lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? If we come indeed up here and we somehow manage to get to the top of this range and print a higher high, so higher than this one here, that's a very bullish sign, okay? And even if we do get a little pullback and fall back within this range, as long as we keep printing higher lows, this is a change in market structure. And so I would be betting and I would be going long on the pullback. So we're in this area here on the lows of this range here. I'd be looking to enter along, targeting this range here, okay? So within this area here, okay? So I hope that's clear, okay? So with the bottom of that being around about $45,000 and the top of that being around about $52,000. I hope that is clear. And again, if you guys have any questions, or if you need me to cover anything else, just please use the chat here on YouTube and just ask the questions, and I'll try and get to them. But I'm trying to give you sort of a painting the scenario, because we're starting to become a little bit excited, and I give you usually quite a macro view, a broad view of the market, and I don't focus so much on the smaller time frames. So the feedback I've got is that maybe I should focus on shorter time frames, like the 4-hour and the 12-hour, just to give you a sort of a better idea, okay? So this is basically what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that as ranges, okay? Again, if I put this as VPVR here, you can see high volume cluster, and another high volume cluster. And it's already the beginning of the last one because the price is showing there. But that's essentially what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these volume clusters, and I'm just looking at the bottom to buy and the top to sell. And of course there's these low volume nodes in between, the jagged edges, if you like, the edges of these high volume clusters that are usually like take profits, etc. Okay, or levels of interest to enter certain positions. I don't want to go too much into that, but essentially this is what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin. So basically we're still kind of like below $40,000, between the ranges between 34 and 40, right? If we break to the upside, then we'll have to wait and see if this bottom gets confirmed as support, which is this low volume area here. If 40k now becomes support, then we're likely to test between $41,000 and $44,000 and get back within this range. And if we find acceptance here and we do somehow manage to test this edge here around about $45,000, that means that we broke this. And in terms of market structure, you can see here, this is the market, this is the last high, the last swing high. And if we break this, then of course that's a break in market structure, and I do expect the price to come and rotate inside of this range here, even if there's a small pullback before. So I hope that is clear. And these are the drawings, you know, so these scribbles, I'm going to leave those scribbles well alone, take them off, just to make it a little bit more objective. Okay, so on the 4-hour chart, what does this mean? Okay, on the 4-hour chart, let me just look either even more zoomed in. Okay, at the moment we've already tested the high volume edge here, right, the HVE, basically the edge of this high volume cluster. We've tested that, and now this little mini, in context, it's a low volume node inside a big volume edge here, volume cluster, is acting as support right now. Okay, there's also an anchored view up here from the swing low, from the most local swing low. We breached that yesterday, but we managed to get back above it again. This should act as support until proven otherwise. Okay, you notice as well that it's on the edge, on this big ledge here in volume, on the lower edge of this high volume cluster. So if we break this to the downside, I'm going to give you the bearish case scenario first. If we break this to the downside, the next low volume node is around about here, right? This area here. This, if you follow the crosshairs to the right hand side, is perfectly in line with these equal lows here. Alright, so you can see that there. I'm going to put it there. So these equal lows is the first target that I would expect the price to come to. That's around about 35,500. If, however, we come all the way down here and bounce, then the next target would be this one here, around about 37,500. Okay, and the price would just kind of rotate back to here, and then just have to wait and see what happens there. This is the price action that I'm expecting over the next few days until I have a new TA update for you guys, so over the weekend. If, however, we break below this little volume node here, we take out these equal lows, and we do not bounce, we somehow get below it, come and test this, and it starts rolling over because it tested this as resistance, then I think we target the much lower levels here, around about $33,000, which is these previous lows here, which also in context makes sense because we would be inside of this. We are essentially, well, this is the high here, we are essentially inside of this range here. Okay, so we would very likely come and take these lows down here, and then maybe even target these lows down here, the July lows. Okay, around about $29,000 to $30,000. I hope that makes sense, and this is essentially on the lower time frames, on the 4-hour time frame, what I'm looking for price action. Okay, so let me just delete all this. However, for the bullish price action, okay, if we are to go to the upside, the bullish case scenario is that, of course, like I already explained, we breach these highs here again. Okay, so we somehow take those highs here, and it's also this is also part of the bearish case scenario. We could come and take these highs and just completely roll over and just range here, okay, and just kind of, this is probably visible on the 1-hour chart. You can see there's equal lows there as well. Okay, so we could just actually come up here. I'm just going to make this a little bit clearer. I don't want to make it too confusing, otherwise it starts getting a little bit confusing here. So we could come and take these highs up here, completely fail at this low volume node here, right? So do something like this, take those highs, which grabs all the stops, do an SFP, and then come and take these equal lows. So there's equal lows here as well. That's around about $36,300. Okay, breaking those again, if it doesn't bounce there, that means we're out of range, and we go lower, we'd start taking that 35,500 and then potentially the 33 level as well. Okay, so you've got a few targets to the downside there. I just wanted to clarify that because it's on the smaller time frames, it paints a different picture. However, if we are to go to the upside, that means that we would very likely come and test the edge of this high volume cluster here. That's at around about $40,500, $41,000. If we come up here and we do not get rejected straight away, then it's very likely that this is a very strong move and not just a little stop hunt. Okay, and if we gain acceptance here, which basically looks like a 4-hour candle or a daily candle closing above $41,000, then I think we've got a very strong chance to come up to this level here at $42,000, where everybody's going to get very, very bullish and start thinking that we're going back to 100k. In fact, you're already seeing signs of that on Twitter. So don't follow the retards, okay? Don't follow the bull, the narratives of the bull case or the bear case. You just trade level to level. If we get to $42,000, then again, like I said, I've already painted this and I want to repeat myself. This level here that was previous resistance should now act as support, right? So if we come all the way up here and then start rolling over and we break to the downside, then in fact, if we start rolling over and we do not break to the upside straight away, then I would look at this as weakness, right? If, however, we kind of retrace straight back and we find ourselves round about, well, below 40,000 anyway, around about $39,000, then I do think that we're likely to continue, even if we have a little relief here, continue to the downside. Okay, so that's the short time frame level to level approach and best case scenario that I can paint for you guys right now, at least until Monday, where we can see what happens. The reason I'm giving you all this is because you know, it's the weekend, there's more volatility because of the lack of liquidity in the books, so I do think that the price can vary a little bit, especially as it looks like we're kind of doing constructive price action. There's essentially a big difference between constructive price action and breaking market structure. Yes, this is constructive. We're printing higher lows, okay, and we've printed a few higher highs despite this little deviation here, but we haven't broken above the previous high here, okay. So this for me on the 4-hour or the daily chart is a little bit more significant, and this is already looking like a very local high here, like the top is put in already. But you know, I'm saying that in terms of market structure, this could potentially be the level that this is essentially the level that we need to break above. Okay, so break above 45,000 and it's off to the races. Okay, at least until 52,000, something like that. If we do not break above this, okay, even if we come all the way up here and we start rotating like this, and then the price just kind of rallies, slowly bleeds down, then you know that that's an indication that we're going to go much lower. Okay, I hope that is clear for you guys. We could also just do something like this, very large rig to the downside and straight back down again, and then just carry on. The sign of strength that you want to look for is this coming all the way up here, and then even if the price comes a little bit lower like this, it starts bouncing and flagging to the side like this. Okay, this is an indication that we're now range bound. We found acceptance within this range here, and acceptance here means that we kind of start rotating like this inside of there. Okay, essentially what I'm saying is that this level will have to act as support. I hope that's clear. I've tried to make it as clear as possible. In the meantime, I didn't want to overload you with information, but I just wanted to cover this before I move on to Exocharts, which will just confirm all the levels that I've been saying anyway. But just for those of you who don't follow order flow and don't understand Exocharts and market profile, etc. So I hope that is clear for you guys. Let's have a look at Exocharts then. And starting here with the daily volume profile, you can see that we've left a few anomalies below. We've got plenty of naked points of control below us as well. The most significant naked point of control to the top here is around about $42,000, like I already mentioned. And yeah, there's a big gap here in terms of volume. There's hardly any volume in between, so a big void in volume in between, which is essentially what's acting as resistance right now. For the market profile for the day, you can see here that we've got plenty, you know, even though we've rallied to the upside, we opened actually outside of the value area of yesterday's value area. We broke to the upside. We haven't quite taken that naked point of control at 38,500, which is an interesting level that should have been taken to the upside. So there's still a possibility that we go higher again. But as you can see, there's plenty of anomalies down below. Okay, this is a composite profile. I'm going to reset it again, but essentially there's just 3 market profile days here that have been trading, and I've just consolidated them because you can see that at least on 2 of those the naked point of control kind of overlaps. Okay, it's in line. So in fact on all 3 days. So let me just merge this again just to get a better understanding. Okay, so essentially yes, we want to see the price move up and take this anomaly here, this naked point of control around about $38,500, and then we'll have to wait and see if this low volume area that we keep talking about can act as resistance, or in fact if we break above it, if it will act as support, or if we come straight back down. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised to see a liquidity hunt where the price just goes all the way up here, goes crazy. It means that it wrecks all of the bears and everybody's short at these levels. That will completely liquidate them, and on top of that it will attract a lot of swing traders and breakout traders that will be looking for up price, and then, you know, price comes up, taps that level, comes straight back down, and everybody's trapped at the top. Okay, which gives the bears enough liquidity to fill their big bags to come down to the downside. So we'll just have to wait and see and observe the price action a little bit closely. But I you know, basically we've got quite a lot of anomalies to the downside, namely, I'm going to have a closer look at these. We've got some pull lows here. Okay, these are significant pull lows. Okay, that's very obvious, especially as they are so close to this naked point of control. Okay, so in fact there's a naked point of control here as well, the VPOC, if you like, volume point of control, that did not get tapped, even though the price kind of like rotated very, very close to it. Okay, it does look like the price wants to go up now, We might even see this during the live stream, that we go up and take this point of control here around about 38,500. So again, this is the equal lows that I was talking about. I'll expand the cluster so you can see equal lows here. Okay, this didn't get tapped. It's a poor low as well. It didn't have an excess, so it would have been nice to have had excess and take these two. And if that had been the case, if it had taken these naked point of controls and moved up, then I'd be a little bit more convinced that this has got some momentum. Because it hasn't done that and has left anomalies below, I think that these get tapped sooner rather than later. As you can see, there's volatility in the market. The price is already trying to reach up. So let's just wait and see what happens. So there's, again, equal lows down here at 36,300. And then I believe it's this profile here, which has also got poor lows. And you can see that here as equal lows as well, which failed to take this naked point of control as well, right? So I do think that these are definitely targets to the downside, even if we come and take this and then, you know, starts rolling over. So now you've got targets to the downside, targets to the upside as well, with the 42k there and at the top of this range here and this naked point of control. So I'm going to move on and just see if I can find anything here on the footprint that gives us an indication of what we might be up against. Okay, so you can see here there's some stops that have been taken actually on this little bit of volatility. You can see all the string of zeros here on the bid. So these are all the stops being taken out, and the price immediately flushed down. Okay, there's a few top buyers that are already trapped there. There's a few top buyers here that are already trapped. This is on Bybit. And essentially there's not really, I mean, plenty of highs here. The CVD is almost flat, so it's not really very telling. Let's have a look at a different footprint and just see if I can find here a little bit more, make a little bit more sense on the footprint here on the Orderflow. So there was a little bit of a bear CVD here, so you can see that the price, the CVD here was making pointing up, so aggressive buying going on, but there was quite a lot of absorption there, which is an early sign really, quite of absorption with the CVD pointing down, which basically CVD means that the aggressive buyers are going in quite aggressive, and the price is not reflecting that. So everybody that bought it here got trapped, and now that it's the first time back, we've come back to that level, and exactly where these guys were here. They were trapped here. There's let me just have a look at the footprint statistics, just to see how much there is there in terms of delta. So it's about 16 million in volume, about 1.4 million, but in terms of orders, let's have a look at T size without the delta. There's at least 2 million there. Yeah, you can see here 1.6, 1.1 and 1.7 in buys that just got trapped. Of course, they get trapped as the price goes down. They can't wait to get out of their position, so as soon as the price comes anywhere near that level, they exit their position. And of course, if you're a trapped buyer, when you exit your position, you're a seller, right? If you're a buyer, you're immediately a seller. That's the only way you can get out of your position. So these are market sells, and of course, as soon as the price hits that level, the price rallies down. Okay, so in terms of order flow, this is like, you know, textbook stuff. Basically, we've just hit the highs. We didn't even sweep the highs here. We just kind of hit the highs, and the price just kind of trapped everybody down again. So basically, all these imbalances and everybody that was buying at these tops here are now trapped. I do think that there's room here for a swing failure pattern. These equal highs, I don't think that this just stays the way it is. I think that the price will come here and perhaps take that liquidity before moving further to the downside, but we'll have to wait and see. So in terms of, let's have a look here, longs and shorts. I'll take the CVD off. Yeah, CVD, it shows here that as the price was going up, let's have a look at the open interest. In fact, the open interest was healthy. This was going up as the open interest was going up as well. Let me just take these off, so it makes it a little bit more, makes more sense. So the open interest going up as the price goes up, and then here the price starts consolidating. You can see like large fluctuations here, and this is when we bring the net shorts and longs, and you can see here that the longs are essentially getting very overextended. very overextended into this level, and as soon as the price came down, they start exiting their positions. Now the shorts have gotten very excited here as well, and they go right, little hard on there. And of course, what happens when the shorts go up like this? So it's basically, look at this big candle here of the shorts, massive influx of shorts at the lows here on this low rotation. Okay, so basically at the lows here is where all of these shorts came in. Of course, the price rallies, and all they do is all they can do is close their positions. They close their positions, and of course, when they close their positions, the price comes up, tests these trap buyers, and it rolls over, and it goes in the original direction that these guys had intended. So again, textbook stuff. So if you guys don't know what the footprint is and whatever, so this probably won't make any sense to you. So I do apologize to ramble on about this, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an indication of what's going on in the market right now. It's predatory price action, and you can see really very clearly that on the footprint. Here I'll do again a net longs and net shorts, and you can see that basically the shorts are just like up and down, and the longs have gotten a little bit overextended today, as you can see, like spiking up to the upside like that. So I do expect them to get perhaps punished very soon. It's already started, but there's perhaps a little bit of room to flush these shorts off as well, okay, as they are kind of a little bit to the upside as well. So perhaps we come up here, that will close all of these positions here, and then when these guys start getting really excited and overextended, then we flush to the downside. That's essentially what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin. I'm not going to go over it again and again. I think I've already covered enough Bitcoin, so I just wanted to give you a thorough view of what the markets are doing. So I hope that is clear for you guys. Ethereum USD, and with Ethereum, again, these balance areas from the volume profile. With Ethereum, everybody's very bullish on Ethereum, and you can see that we're still essentially at resistance. Okay, we've just hit, I'll get this right eventually, we've just hit this low volume node, basically an imbalance area between two balance areas. Okay, so you've got the green and the orange there, and the price just hit that resistance. Of course, that it's going to get rejected there. It's the first time that it's back here to this level. Of course it's going to get rejected. This is a high probability trade, and I'm looking really to see if the price gets a strong rejection here. I'm looking to see Ethereum go much lower, perhaps to this low volume node here, which is around about the $2,000 level. Okay, so I expect something like that. Okay, again, lower high, lower low. All right, so that's essentially what I'm seeing for Ethereum. Of course, that we don't have to turn around just right here where we are. If Bitcoin does go up to 42k level, then there is room for Ethereum to move up here, and perhaps even go a little bit higher to around about beat that $3,000 level. Okay, so the edge of this balance, just recap, is also a big round number at $3,000. Okay, you can see that here on the right hand side. So this is big resistance. But if we do, like I said, if Bitcoin does go up and it drags everything up with it, then we could break above it. And then what remains to be seen is if we can break above this market structure here. So that's around about $3,400. If we break above that, then it's looking very good for Ethereum. And it's quite likely that we come and test this level here at $3,600 level. Okay, especially if Bitcoin decides to go sideways at 42k. If, however, we do a quick wick to the upside and a quick wick to the downside, then I don't think that Ethereum has room to grow that much. I think the most likely case scenario is that we wick to the upside as well. We hit this order block here, we get rejected from this balance area, and we re-enter this one. When we re-enter this one, it's quite likely that we test the edge first. So to confirm that this is indeed resistance now, that means acceptance within this balance area, and then we will move to the downside. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's the bearish case scenario. The bullish case scenario again is that we break this market structure here and we go up to the upside here. Now we'll have to wait and see. Of course, if Bitcoin is indeed very bullish, then we'll have to look at the next balance area and just see what happens there. I do expect that $3,600 level to be a level of strong resistance, but we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think we're going to see this over the weekend, but stranger things have happened in crypto before, so I wouldn't be surprised. So I hope everybody's clear on that for Ethereum USD. I can have a quick look at Exocharts as well, just at the market profile, and let's have a quick look here on the session. We haven't even taken this. This is an old NPOC here, naked point of control from way back. This is a New York. No, I beg your pardon. This is the London session, naked point of control. We haven't even taken that yet. The CVD looks bullish. Very aggressive buying here going on. Even on that pullback, we haven't seen a significant pullback on the CVD. So yeah, I mean, we could take this $2,800 level and then just roll over. But this is basically, we've been one-time framing. No severe pullbacks since last night, since around about 7:30 last night. The price started pumping and it's just gone up and up and up at one-time framing. And now that's been broken, okay? That's a break here. We're no longer one-time framing, so I do expect the price to start rotating sideways and perhaps go lower. We've got some single prints below us and a couple of naked points of control below as well. These are around about $2,650, $2,680, and we've got some large single prints here around about $2,700. So that's what I'm seeing on the session. On the daily market profile, it's a different story altogether. You can see we've got an anchored VWAP here. We're still below this low volume area, very much like Bitcoin. We've taken finally this naked point of control that has been here for ages. Way back on the 1st of February, we got very close and then we just kind of rotated down. I found that very strange that we hadn't taken that. And of course now we've taken it. So there is a possibility that we just go straight down now. And we've left quite a lot of anomalies below. So we've got some poor lows here around about $2,500 and also a naked point of control at 2.6. And then we've got a composite value area high here at around about 2,500, and naked point of control 2,400, and then 2,300 and 2,250 are also levels of interest to the downside. Okay, so you've got some targets here to the downside, levels to the upside. Of course, we've taken this one, so we've got some single prints above $3,000, big round number. We've got a naked point of control at $3,100, and we've got another one here at 3,400. Above that, then we've got a big void here in volume again, as you can see here. Very large low volume area. So I don't think that the price, even if it gets very bullish and we get to 3,500, I doubt very much that the price gets above this. Okay, so I think that this will be the next level of resistance around about $3,470, essentially where this naked point of control is. That's if we can even get acceptance above $3,000. Okay, so that's the bullish case scenario, getting acceptance above 3,000 and then going all the way to 3,500. For now, we're stuck at around about $2,820, so we're still below the $2,900 level. And yeah, I think it's more likely that we've reached the top here, and this is should be looking for shorts here and targeting the lower sides. So namely around about $2,300 ultimately. Okay, I hope that is clear for you guys. So that's Ethereum USD. Let's move on to Ethereum BTC a bit quick, because I've spent a little bit too much time explaining short time frame setups. Like I said to you guys on Wednesday, just have a sip of water. Apologies. But yeah, so what I'm seeing here, and I explained this to you guys on Wednesday, is basically we entered this balance area, which is essentially this high volume cluster here. We come and tested the other side of that balance, which is this low volume node. We've tested that, and now we were on the move to the upside. On Wednesday, I believe that we'd already breached this point of control here, which I said was bullish, should act as support. And indeed, what does the price do? It came back and retraced that, right? Retraced that, came back, confirmed this as support, and the price just rallies from there. So you can see how these volume areas and naked points of control do make sense. They're not just like make up believe that something that I've just made up. And I know this is perhaps a little bit too much for you guys to get your head around, but essentially we're just looking at volume studies. So anyway, we're printing higher lows here on Ethereum BTC. We broke above the point of control of the range. We've already tested the other side for balance, so the natural target is around about here, 80,000 sats, okay, or around about 79,300. So this is essentially where I look for price to go next year on Ethereum BTC, and this is the level that you want to watch and perhaps take profit if you were indeed long from Wednesday, from when I told you so, or from Monday or last week or whenever it was that we looked here at the end of the month. This is definitely the level to take profit. Of course, we could breach this higher and see if we can get acceptance above. To get acceptance above here, let's have a look at the weekly chart. what it would mean for Ethereum, if indeed it is very, very bullish, is that it would have to break above all of this here, this previous high here, which we already did. Okay, we printed a higher high there, but we got rejected from this order block. Okay, big rectangular order block here on the weekly. You can see that that's exactly where we got rejected, and that will be the next target, the next natural target. So again, we're on our way to 80,000 sats. If we breach above 80,000 sats without deviating to the downside, okay, this is a nice little trend up, higher low, not quite a higher high, but a higher low again, a higher high here and a higher low. So this could be trending now. Okay, so this could indeed come all the way up here to about 88,000 sats, and just see if we can get acceptance inside of this range here. That's basically what we would look for. Of course, that's the bullish case scenario. The bearish case scenario is that we get all the way up here and we get a rejection, and we carry on rotating either in between the point of control and the top, or to the lows and the point of control, or both. And we just trade inside of this balance area here. Okay, so that's essentially this high volume cluster. I hope that everyone is clear on that. So you've got some levels. You want to pause the video, I'll put some timestamps at the end of this. You can have a look at these and pause, and you can take note of the levels. But essentially the range is between 80,000 sats and 65,000 sats. That's essentially where we are now inside of this balance area. If we do, however, break to the upside, then we'd be looking somewhere between 88,000 sats and 105,000 sats. I hope that makes sense. So that's Ethereum altogether and Ethereum BTC now. Let's have a look at FODL versus USDT. I really don't like the OkeX chart, but you can see here that this is mainly being traded by algorithms, and you can see here that it's already starting showing signs of life here. It's perhaps going to be more visible on the 4 hour. It's printing higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so this is promising, but I prefer to look at the FODL versus USDC chart, and you can see here, let's have a look at the 12 hour. We haven't quite tested this level of support here. Not sure why my volume profile is not showing. So we tested the edge of this high volume, well, it's not a high volume node, it's actually the edge of the low volume node here, which is basically from this big larger liquid candle from the beginning of the price action here on sushiswap versus USDC, and we've got a point of control here, which is basically quite a lot of volume being traded despite all of this previous price action. Look at where the point of control is, right down below here, and here we are above that point of control. Okay, the price got below it, we tried to take it, we got rejected, essentially then we broke above it again, and we confirmed that as support, and now we're on our way up. So I think that the opportunity to buy FODL below 17 cents is well and truly gone. We are still at 17.8, but we've got some strong resistance here at around about 20 cents, 22 cents, 24 cents, and so on with this low volume area here. But we are doing constructive price action here. You can see it's probably more visible on the 4 hour, even though the charts are a little bit tricky to see. But you can see here, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Nice constructive price action here. So we just have to break above these points of resistance here. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so FODL USD looking very, very positive. FODL versus ETH. I'm going to look at this again on the daily chart, or perhaps the 12-hour chart. On the 12-hour chart, you can see that we haven't even tested this level here of support here. But you can see here we're still printing lower highs and lower lows, of course, but you can see that we're starting to see little glimmers. Okay, even though the volume is not significant, it's tapering down. The great majority of the volume lately here are sells, but you can see that there's been large areas of accumulation below. Okay, we haven't seen a significant level of volume here on FODL versus ETH, but you have to remember that this is relative to Ethereum, and Ethereum has been pumping, so it's only natural to see this being outperformed a little bit. Okay, so I think the majors are still outperforming altcoins for now, and as long as they do that, then obviously these alts are going to start lagging below. But you can see steady, progressive price action to the upside, so don't sleep on them. Perhaps the best price to, the best time to buy is when they're at the all-time lows. So again, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but just do with this information what you will. Again, I'm going to reiterate today, I say this in every single live stream, it really doesn't matter what any of this TA is telling you. All these altcoins, with very few exceptions, they follow what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin's going up, they're all going up. If Bitcoin's going down, most of them are going down as well. So even on these charts that you see, like altcoin Xcoin versus BTC or versus ETH, the story is exactly the same, and you can see that reflected here in the price. Okay, you can see that the price, even though Bitcoin was dumping for quite some time and FODL was just going sideways. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that. I think that there is a little bit of accumulation. There's been quite a lot of accumulation here in the past, as you can see here from these spikes, especially when the price was going sideways. Big green spikes here, and the price has gone lower. There's a little bit of fear in the market, but I think this is going to start turning around soon. So that's what I think on FODL versus ETH. AAVE versus USD. And also, let me just point out something. There's so much going on with FODL. I don't think you guys realize what's being done in the background. But if you're not in the Discord group, do join the Discord group. There's a link in the description, and just learn a little bit more about FODL. It's basically the token of a decentralized exchange. Trading is open source as well, with zero funding rates and trading with leverage. And basically, you don't have to put your funds in any exchange, as they say, not your keys, not your coins, right? So you can actually trade from within your wallet on that same exchange. But anyway, enough plugging. I'm just excited for what's coming for FODL. But AAVE versus USD, we're about $156. We're still very much trading within this range. Not much has changed since Wednesday. We've deviated from the high here. We came back below, and the price is just going sideways. I'm going to delete this little scribble so you can see a little bit more objectively here. And you can see that the price is just kind of like, this is a low volume node, so it's acted as support. And now there's a low volume node here as well. It's acting as resistance, okay? So the price is just below it. I've put it in orange because I didn't know if we were going to break it or not. I'll put it as red, as it is a level of resistance. So $160, a big level of resistance. And then we've got $190, $200, something like that, as another level of resistance here. And then you can see here, large, low volume area. This is again resistance at $220, $260, something like that. Levels of support I've highlighted here with this rectangle. You can see here in green. This is an important one, and so is this one actually, as you can see here. There's a low volume node there, and that's exactly where the price is bounced. Okay, so low volume node, low volume node. This will define the range. So if we find ourselves breaking to the downside, this is the range that we'll be trading in. If we break to the upside, this is the range that we'll be trading in. For now, all I expect is the price to rotate between $130 and $160, and you'll just have to monitor this on the smaller time frames if you want to keep an eye on it, like on the hourly chart or whatever. But essentially, if you're trading these altcoins, you should be trading ranges. You know where the sellers are stepping in, and you know where the buyers are stepping in. So you sell at the highs, you buy at the lows. That's essentially it. AAVE versus BTC, and let's have a look at the daily chart here. And yeah, like I said to you guys on, I think it was on Wednesday, we managed to get just above this level of support here, which is the edge of this high volume cluster. So I'm going to put a little rectangle there just to be a little bit more pedantic. Okay, so again, a cluster inside a cluster. Okay, so this is the bigger cluster of the high volume here, and there's a little cluster inside it, and you can see here that the price came below, tested, we got rejected, straight back up again, and then went to the top of that range. We came back, and now this is acting as support. Okay, again, if this is now support, if we do, however, so I expect the price to bounce here, just to be clear. Okay, if the price falls below it and it breaks below it, then essentially this is the level that I'll be looking to short, and when it comes back and retests it, I'll be taking the short from here, and I'll be looking this as the first target and perhaps this as the second target. I hope that makes sense. For now, in terms of direction, what I see is that the price is indeed acting as this is support, and I expect price to come back up here and test this. Okay, If we break above this, then obviously this is the next level of resistance here, and this is a significant one because again it's in between two balance areas. So I do expect this what is it, 6,000 sats to be strong resistance here, and we've already tapped it a couple of times, but not enough for me to think that this is just going to fail. So admittedly it's not a high probability trade, but if it does get up here, I do expect this to be resistance, okay? And then just kind of rotate between these two levels, which are still marked red as resistance, but essentially that's what we want to see, okay? So again, level to level, this is the range, this is another range here, and this is another range here, okay? So, and also, actually you can even argue that this is a range here as well. So any combination of those, but on a smaller time frames, you'll find that these are very useful because you can see that these clear ranges are forming inside, okay? Bear in mind that this balance area here could also act as a range. So actually this would probably be a little bit more like this. So you just have to bear that in mind, okay? This is the high volume node of this cluster here, so that's why there's a level of resistance there. It's a high volume node, so a level of support I mean. So price could just bounce here, but essentially if we enter below here, then I think that this will be the next range. So that's on AAVE versus BTC. AAVE versus ETH, we're very much the same. I don't like to, doing the TA on this, but we're very much doing what I said that we would do. We found that this was resistance, big order block and an anchored VWAP there. This level here, we lost it, and it's also resistance now, even though I thought it was going to act as support a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, whenever it was when we first hit it. But that was a break in market structure. I thought that the price might go up first and then break down. It didn't even do that. It's just slowly bleeding, and it's essentially going to bleed out the whole of this inefficient move. So again, what I'm expecting here is the price to just do this, okay, and just go to the downside. Then we'll have to wait and see if we can get a range here, or if we indeed get a range here, and deviations to the upside, deviations to the downside, and so on, okay? Again, if we break below that 420 level, that's 0.0426 Gwei or Ethereum, then I do think that the price is going to go much lower, and you'll go to all-time lows, and then you'll have to use the big round numbers such as 400, 300, 200, and so on for targets, okay, and or for potential entries. So just keep a look on the round numbers if we do go below in price discovery, if we go below the previous all-time lows. That's it for AAVE versus ETH. Compound versus USD. We are hovering at resistance here. That's usually a good sign. We're not seeing any significant sign of bullishness, even though you know, considering Ethereum and Bitcoin have been going up, there's not really much in the way of willingness to buy at these levels. The price is still, the volume is still declining, even though the price is going slightly up. So again, $130, $150, $170, and then $200 as levels of resistance, levels of support at around about $100 and then $80. Okay, there's no, it does look like it's printed a bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of wick to the downside, take out those. If anybody is long here, they're going to keep their stops right below the price. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the price come back, take those, okay, which is $100 level, and then rally up and squeeze the shorts. Okay, so that's a possibility as well, so just keep an eye on that. If you're thinking about going long, you should put your long entries right where the stops are, so around about here, but just above the $100 mark. Okay, if we are to break to the upside, then it is quite likely that we come and test these levels here around about $150 and then $170 as well, with this significant level, which is the point of control of this whole thing, of this whole historical price action. The point of control is around about $200. That's fair price, if you like. So that's ultimately the target if you are long, but like I said, I wouldn't FOMO into a long just yet. If Bitcoin does indeed go up, then it eventually will drag these coins with it, but I would look for a liquidation cascade to the bottom first, and I would look to enter around about between $100 and around about $110. So that's Compound versus USD. Compound versus BTC. We're starting to see a little bit of what is going on here. a little bit of curling up in the price here. Nothing significant. We're nowhere near the previous highs here to see if it breaks in market structure or not. But this could be a little reversal here. Could be the beginning of something interesting. So again, the first level of resistance is the previous level of support. Okay, so that's around about 375 sats. So even if the price does come all the way up here, you know, the normal thing to do would be to think that this just kind of rolls over. Of course, it can wick like it did here. A nice quick wick to the upside, grab some liquidity, and then just move to the downside. If, however, the price does wick up and then confirms this as support, then this is the next range, and it will just carry on doing this. If we break above, and it'll just, this is another range here, and if we can manage to break above this level of resistance here, around about 500 sats here, then I would be very inclined to see a break in market structure here around about 540 sats. So something like this. Okay, if it does this, and eventually, let's just delete all of those. So if the price does something like this, then I think that's very bullish on compound versus BTC, and I would not stand in the way of that, because that's a break in market structure. Okay, and even if it comes all the way down here and prints a higher low, okay, then this would be a very interesting long here, and I think long term, I think this will be going a little bit higher. Okay, so this is potentially a good trade, but again, it's far away. This is just the beginning. This could be a potential bottom here, and just the beginning of reversal, but there's no evidence of that just yet. As far as I'm concerned, this could come all the way up here and just turn over. Okay, so just bear that in mind. There's no clear direction right now. The only thing that I can say in terms of direction is that we're still printing lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so for me, the bias is that this goes lower. Compound versus ETH, very much the same situation, I bet. And yeah, we've breached the all-time lows again. Okay, so no different. Okay, we had constructive price action. Like I said to you guys on Wednesday, we broke below that, and once we broke below that, then these levels didn't even, I think it was here actually on Wednesday, but now all these levels of resistance, we are at all-time lows, and it's quite possible that if Bitcoin or Ethereum have a strong move to the downside, then this will go to all-time lows, and you'll have to look at these big round numbers here, 400, 300, 200, and so on. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. And compound versus ETH, I think ETH, again, the majors are leading and looking a lot stronger. This is going to be the same across the board, so I'm just going to go through very, very quickly through all of these. You can always look back on the Wednesday TA and the Monday TA. I think I was quite thorough on the Monday one as well, and just have a look and see for levels and prices. Again, BAT versus USD, this is basic attention token. We are hovering at resistance. This is a good sign. I like to see this. Okay, so actually it's looking fairly decent for basic attention token. Okay, so even though despite the rejection of this low volume node here, there's a low volume area here, you can see that the price got rejected there. However, we're not finding acceptance inside of this node here very easily. Okay, the price keeps getting rejected from there, so we remain imbalanced. Of course, if Bitcoin or Ethereum decide to have a little move to the downside, then this is very likely to follow. But we've already seen significant pullbacks on Bitcoin for the last sort of couple of days or so, and the price is not budging here on basic attention token. So I think this is looking very, very strong. Price hovering at resistance like this, eventually it's going to break. Okay, so again, we've still got resistance around about 87 cents, between 87 and 94 cents. But if we break above that, I think the range would be somewhere between 95 cents and $1.30. Okay, so essentially we want to be rotating here again, back within this range. Okay, and confirming this area here around about between 85 and 95 cents as support. So essentially what we want to see is a little wick to the upside, and then confirm this as support, and then constructive price action inside. That's basically it. At the moment, obviously, we are still very much below that low volume node, and so because we are printing lower highs and lower lows, if we just trade level to level and stay objective, this is still resistance, and for as long as this is resistance, this should be looking at an area for you to look at shorts. Okay, so perhaps have shorts. The invalidation is above 95 cents, I guess, and the target would be around about here, 50 cents. Okay, so that's what you should be looking for. At these highs of the range, you should be looking for shorts. Okay, so my bias is still to the downside. We've entered a new balance area. We're trying to find acceptance inside it. So far it looks like rejection, but we are still very much inside it, so just bear that in mind, okay? Until we've got acceptance above 95 cents, there's no sign of bullishness, okay? Just a very early sign of reversal, that's all. BAT versus BTC, very much the same scenario. We bounced on support here around about 2000 sats. I'm going to look this on a 12-hour chart here. So we're very much just kind of rotating sideways here. What is going on with these volume profiles here? No, I'm just going to put the VPVR on. That's a bit easier. Okay, so you can see here that basically there's a low volume node here at the top, there's a low volume node here at the bottom, and the price is just rotating in between that. Now it appears. So I'm just going to delete that now. So we're just kind of rotating here. So BAT versus BTC, we found support at around about 2000 sats. It is quite likely that we will find resistance at around about 2500 and then 2700 and eventually 2900 sats, which is essentially where all these red lines are. And this last one here at around about 3300 sats is basically an edge of a high volume cluster. So again, this is the top of the range, this is the bottom of the range, more or less, somewhere around here. Okay, so something like that. All right, so you could be a little bit more specific and or a little bit more forgiving and less specific and just trade the two low volume nodes. Okay, so buying at the lows and selling at the highs, and that's essentially what you should be doing. But in terms of direction right now, there's not really the only clear sign that I've got is that we were in a bullish trend going higher highs and higher lows, and now we've broken that to the downside. So we've rallied up above. We couldn't even get to the first level of resistance, even though the price looks promising. So I do think that here we just kind of roll over and go test this level here, and maybe just rotate between these levels here. Okay, we could even break to the downside, take these levels here. If we break to the upside, then we'd be looking at this range here. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's BAT versus BTC. BAT versus ETH. I must have done this on Wednesday when I was explaining to you guys. Again, price action was productive here. You can see the higher highs and higher lows, very bullish. The price broke that market structure, and then when we come and test the highs again, where did it fail? It failed on the perfect confluence of this trend line and a horizontal resistance line, which is the edge of this high volume cluster, as you can see. All right, so price comes up to here, rejects, and now we're on our way down. So we could actually just find a little bit of a range here, but if we break down, then this previous level of support will turn to resistance, and therefore we'll be ranging on the inside with a few deviations perhaps. Okay, so that's BAT versus ETH. In terms of direction, I am biased for it to go to the downside, and I still think that Ethereum and BTC will continue to dominate the markets as we move forward, at least until proven otherwise. So same for all of the coins. Link versus USD. Link versus USD, we've broken below this low volume cluster here, as it's very visible here. This low volume cluster, let me just delete this one just to clean up the chart a little bit. Low volume cluster acting as resistance. Okay, we've got another one up here around about $21. So we've got $18 and $21 and also $26 as the point of control for this high volume cluster. It's looking like it wants to curl up here, and it's printed a higher high and a higher low. So if it does, and it does break above these low volume nodes, then it's very likely that we do something like this, and we start testing both the edges here, okay, and rotating back inside of this range here. Okay, it's a very wide range, admittedly, on the daily here, but if we cannot break above those levels of resistance, these low volume nodes, then I do think that the price will just roll over, and we just have to wait and see to which level we go to. Okay, we could even have deviations and go something like this and just carry on doing this sort of price action. Okay, so I hope that is clear for you guys. Again, we're just trading ranges. Okay, we highlight the levels of support and levels of resistance, and we just bet that it trades within those ranges, and 9 times out of 10 it does. Okay, previous support, now it's turned to resistance. Okay, If we can break above this and we start hovering at resistance, then we're likely to break up and confirm it again as support, where I'd be interested in longs targeting the other side of the balance area. I hope that makes sense. Link versus BTC, very much the same story, still printing lower highs and lower lows. We had a nice big strong move to the upside. It got completely retraced again. Large liquid moves, they get retraced. Okay, usually it's like large liquid move, consolidation, and then down to the downside, like that BART pattern that we were talking about. It didn't even do that. We just kind of rallied it and then straight back down again. So again, the bias here is to the downside, but we got some significant levels of support at round about here, which is again a low volume cluster, as you can see here, low volume area here. In fact, I'm going to adjust that slightly, make it a little bit tighter like that. Alright, and then there's a significant one down here at this level here, as you can see here very clearly. Okay, so round about 3,730 sats, and then another one at 2,720 sats. Okay, so again, the bias is to the downside. I do expect the price to find support here and then just kind of rotate between this level of support and the point of control. Okay, so there's a point of control there around about 4,200 sats. So if the price just rotates sideways, that's what I expect. If it breaks to the upside again, we're just going to do the same thing, rotate. Now the point of control will be support. We'll just rotate that as support, and this is be a resistance. Of course, if it has a mad rally like that, then when it comes to resistance and you're long, then don't exit the whole position, just take profits. Okay, but at these I would definitely be looking for shorts. Okay, so depends what happens on Chainlink, but I do think that this is just going to go either sideways or back down again. I don't think that Bitcoin is just going to break all-time highs anytime soon. So Link versus ETH, so bias to the downside. Link versus ETH is very much the same thing. We haven't even touched on this particular coin, or versus ETH, I mean, we haven't even touched the point of control yet, which is around about at this level here, 3659. If we can break 3659, then we go much lower and we go to price discovery. If, however, we stay above here and find these levels of support, then we're printing higher lows. And higher lows, there is a breaking market structure there. Higher lows means that we could just see a reversal anytime. However, like I said before in the other chart, strong impulse to the upside. We couldn't even stay above in this range. Okay, we wanted to trade within inside this range here. We couldn't even stay there. We broke to the next one, little tiny little green candle there. Couldn't even stay above this range here. Okay, to trade here. Couldn't trade there. Couldn't find the range here. So of course we're going to go much lower. We're going to try and find the range below. So let's just wait and see how the price behaves there. Okay, so of course the point of control is down here. So at any moment, even though it looks like it's printing a bottom here, it could just come down and test that level as support. Okay, this level here should act as strong support at around about 0.003616, and that's essentially where I expect strong support here, as there's consolidation and a point of control there. Okay, so just bear that in mind. That's Link versus ETH. Right now, the direction bias is downside. Link versus ETH. So Uni versus USD, Uniswap versus USD. We are very much exactly the same place where we were on Wednesday. Essentially, what I was saying is exactly the same that I've been saying to all these different coins. Majors are all looking, you know, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum, are looking much stronger than these coins. And these coins, even though they're not dumping, they're not moving it either. So a great majority of them are just going sideways or down. So yeah, I just expect the range to be, it looks like we formed the bottom here. We could come and deviate to the downside before we go back up and just do something like this. Nice constructive price action. Or we could indeed just come and test these highs like I showed here. In fact, I've already drawn it, yeah. Come and test the highs. This was previous support, is now resistance. This would be an entry for a short here and target the prices much lower. Okay, so perhaps these levels here, which is the previous support here, with a nice big range printed at those levels, as you can see here, represented in volume profile. Okay, so somewhere between $3 and $4. Again, we are around about $10. $10 is a big round number, so I'm not surprised to see this form a bottom here. But the next level of resistance would be $12, $15, and then $16 and 19.3, let's say $20, just to be on the safe side. Uni versus BTC, and just to be clear, I still think that we're going down, okay, on Uni, but you know, there's no sign of reversal yet. It does look like a bottom, but so did this. We came up and then we broke below it. This looked like a bottom. We came up and then we broke below it. Yeah, this looked like a bottom as well before we broke down. So just bear that in mind, okay? Uni versus BTC. Very much the same story. In fact, we've just broken inside of this jagged, and it's really a horrible area to be trading. But essentially what I'm looking at is this jagged volume profile here, okay? This low volume node in context is exactly where we found resistance. That's why there's a circle there. The price came up, found resistance, and now it's on its way to the downside. And if we were to look at this on the smaller time frames, let's have a look at Uni versus BTC on a shorter time frame. This is actually a high volume cluster, okay? There's a low volume node below and a low volume node above. So this could be considered, even though it's a weird distribution, it's considered a cluster of volume. And as such, I do expect the price to come all the way down to the bottom, test both sides, okay? It tested the top and now tests the bottom to firm up balance. That's how they do it. So I do expect the price to travel to the downside, especially if Bitcoin decides to have a little 45 minutes to the downside or to the downside. Sorry, to the upside or to the downside. So anyway, here we'd be looking at exiting our position and perhaps pay attention, because also there's a very clear here high volume cluster, and I do expect this to act as support, and then we just kind of rotate inside it like this, okay? Of course, if we break straight below it, then this would be confirmed as resistance, and then we just trade resistance to support like that, okay? So that's Uni versus BTC, and looking at what I've got on here as levels of support, this is a significant level of support, but below this there's not really much at all, okay? Between 1400 sats, there's really not a lot there. So just to be clear, I do think that this is continuation to the downside, like all of these coins, okay? Uni versus ETH, very much the same thing. We're approaching the all-time lows again, okay? We came to the edge of this high volume cluster, a low volume area here, okay, the edge of this high volume cluster. We tried to get above it, we just couldn't, and we broke down to the downside. And again, we're losing level after level. Impulse, retest, impulse, retest, and so on, okay? So even if the price bounces here, it'll probably find resistance here at this level, and then go lower, and then find resistance at that level and go lower, and so on, okay? This is why I expect just continuation on these coins until there's a significant catalyst and a change in terms of price action with Bitcoin, okay? What we would like to see is either Bitcoin having a big massive rally and go to at least break the $45,000 level and go to $50,000, and then if it does so and has a little cooling period, meaning just going sideways, crab market, then I think a lot of these coins will start rallying, without a doubt. That's usually how it works. But we do need to see strength first in the market, or confidence in the market, and that comes in the way of seeing a big pump on Bitcoin, and willingness participation at those levels, you know, so holding the price up. So at the moment we're not seeing any of that. So anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. I'm sorry it's a very long one. I thought it's Friday and it's just before the weekend, and you know, there's a lot of price action that's going to happen in the future, so I thought I'd give you an extensive one. But for now, that is it. I'll have another TA update for you guys on Monday. In the meantime, I hope you found it useful, and I shall put the timestamps on and stuff, and yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. I'll speak to you soon.